Today is May 8th, 2025. Let's get into the review. Today was a funky day for me once again, and honestly, I feel super out of sync from the market this week. I don't know if it's just me and my mental, or if the market is just in different market conditions than I'm used to. But yeah, I feel super out of sync. So we'll be doing a quick review, and then I'm going to explain basically what I'm going to do moving forward. I'll make an announcement for tomorrow. I'm not going to be dropping a class tomorrow. Honestly, I don't really feel like recording, but I know you guys are expecting the daily reviews. So I'm going to do today, but I'm going to be taking off tomorrow, Friday, and I will be taking off Monday next week as well, just to kind of have a little bit of time to myself and recoup and not feel the burnout. Honestly, live streaming every day and recording daily reviews and stuff has been taking a toll on me a little bit. So yeah, I just want to take a little break to get my mental health in check and make sure I'm back stronger than before. So starting off with the midnight, which was here, we have CISD. We have a 5-minute sweepable, bullet 1 here, didn't deliver, bullet 2 delivers and takes off. I'm not going to zoom in on the 1 minute here because honestly, I don't think many people are trading this portion, but maybe some people are. But yeah, just go on the 1 minute in this section. There's a bullet 1. Then after that, we have a sweepable here, which is high, low, higher high, lower low, given as a 5-minute sweep. There's a 1 minute breaker here as well, and delivered to 4 standard deviations. Then after that, we have across the board. So this is Wednesday here at nighttime, so it's really Thursday. And then this is price action from Tuesday. Oh no, sorry, I got confused. This, I don't think this is a sweepable. I don't think this is a sweepable in the 5 minute. I was tripping on that. We have a sweepable, a CISD here on the 5 minute, closing here, giving us a sweepable here. And then we have another CISD here, giving us this sweepable. So price started pulling back. And as far as price action goes on this portion, there really is no way to get on the short unless you anticipated that short from this high on the 15 minute from Friday last week. But I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have done that personally. It's way too far away to really be played today on Thursday because it's outside of that 3-day period. So it's not like it cannot happen. It's just one of those things that you don't want to anticipate a reversal from something so old because it's just less likely to happen. So although you know the draw, it doesn't mean you have to take the trade. And that's something that I feel like people are just not comfortable with. And I recently have been also fallen a victim to that. I just don't want to let go of the trades, even though I know that they're not the best trades to take. So anyways, price starts dropping. We sweep under this 5-minute sweepable. Let me hit the replay real quick so we can actually zoom in into the New York price action. So we sweep under the 5-minute sweepable, and we do create the first breaker to the upside. So that's bullet 1. Now, the issue with this bullet 1 is that there's really no structure here as far as the 5-minute go that would be nice. This breaker here, yeah, it's a breaker technically if we close above it, but it's one of those really funky breakers, right? We have price action looking like that. That's quite funky, and I don't really like it. So taking a trade here to the upside, honestly, just is not preferable. Also, we had news coming up. So yeah, just not the best bullet. Now to the downside, on the other hand, we have this breaker here, but then we also have this CISC to the downside here, giving us the sweepable as the low, high, low. So sweepable is right here. If we go on the 1 minute, zooming in that same section, we can see we have a nice breaker. This breaker is inside of the SMR window in the middle of the hour. IFG, CB, close on the first time. The only thing it doesn't have is that this red candle is not the lowest point. But other than that, this is a pretty good breaker. And then on the 5 minute, more importantly, you have a low, high, low, higher high, lower low, meaning here on the 5 minute, this breaker is not only a 1 minute, it's also a 5 minute. So it's important to know that it's both at once because that makes it higher probability by default, okay? Also, this CB here is valid per model, because after the sweep, this is the first CB as well that comes out, making this whole setup valid. So then price works itself back up into the breaker. It retaps you in and then starts working back down. So it's important to know what happened here, because it invalidates essentially the setup here to buy. If you were a buyer, sorry, if you were going to be a buyer here for whatever reason, like this invalidates this setup here, invalidates this setup if you were going to take this, because it went to 2.5, but this setup is one that would go to -4 standard deviations because of the fact that it's an A setup, plus it's a 5-minute breaker and a 1-minute breaker at the same time, giving us the highest chances that this actually delivers to 4 standard deviations, which would be here. We then see price. Let me zoom back out. So basically this is bullet 1 here, right? Bullet 1 then gets swept to become bullet 2 on the 5-minute. So bullet 2 gets dragged down, but then there's no breaker here. So bullet 2 gets dragged down again here, and there's no breaker again. So you're still at bullet 2 this whole time. Then it gets dragged down again right here, where price currently is. And we finally get the next breaker. Now, this first breaker here is also the first breaker of the 15-minute, okay? So it's bullet 2 5-minute, bullet 1 15-minute, okay? Now, it's important for you to make notice that it's bullet 1 for the 15-minute and it's bullet 2 for the 5, because the 15-minute could have 2 bullets. It doesn't have to have one single bullet. So it's important to know that you can get stopped out on this, and the next trade right after that can be bullet 2 for the 15, and it can run afterwards. So you got to pick your shots wisely. Now, in this specific scenario, I messed up. I took this buy, and I honestly shouldn't have, because the context is it's bullet 2 for the 15-minute. We have already dropped quite significantly. We have already made a CISD on the 15-minute as well to the downside. So now the CISD to the downside that we have here and everywhere else, we need to combat that with another CISD to the upside on the 15-minute, because it's a 15-minute trade that you're playing on the 15-minute sweepable. So I should have let it print a high, then let it print a lower low to then take it higher. And that's what I didn't allow myself to do. So I rushed into this entry today on the live stream right here. This is the breaker, bullet 2 on the 5-minute. And so as a 5-minute individual trade, if you had no context on the 15, this would have been a fine loss, no problem. But reality is that I shouldn't have taken this loss to begin with, because I should have faded it based on the 15-minute. So anyways, this trade takes me out, and then the next trade comes. And so this is actually bullet 2 of the 15-minute. As you can see, I labeled it as that. And yeah, we closed above it right here, and then you get filled right after at 11.18, and it never comes back. It never comes back. It's a straight shot to 2 standard deviations to 2.5. Now, I wouldn't take this trade to 4 standard deviations, because this trade is literally 100 points on the NQ, or 438 ticks. That's really, really, really big. So taking this to 4 standard deviations is just not very likely. Like, I've seen a handful of trades that are that thick that go to 4 standard deviations. Just take your win at 2, move on, and, figure something else later for the PM. Now, price, after it did that heavy pump, we get a high, low, higher high, giving us our first 5-minute sweepable. Here after the CISDs, because these are no longer sweepables, they become CISD to the upside. And so now all the other things that we were watching also become CISDs. This is also a CISD. And that gives us the high, low, high, giving us our sweepable for the PM session. So we'll fast forward real quick. So yeah, we'll break this apart in 2 pieces. We'll go for the longs first, and then we'll talk about the shorts. So for the long side, we have the sweepable. We came, we swept it, and then we created our very first breaker, which is here to here. This is 1401, and then the close is at 1408, meaning it's inside of the macro window. And for this, it went to 2 standard deviations, and then pull back, and then it finished delivering to 2.5. And then, so we're going to talk about this section in a second. But yeah, for the long side, you could have definitely taken profit on this at 2.5 standard deviations. This trade inside breaker candle here. Oh, sorry, outside breaker candle. No IFG. It does have a BC. It did close on the first time, so this is an A setup. Okay, but we have already expanded so much on the day. The chances of us expanding like a crazy amount more, it's not very likely. It can happen. It's just not very likely. So if I was trading on the PM session on this day, I would have taken my dub at 2 standard deviations and just pretty much moved on. Like I wouldn't have tried to push my luck on this one any further, simply because of the context of what we've done on the day. We already did a lot today. I mean, this is a crazy, crazy pump. So I wouldn't be trying to take a second trade that just goes a lot higher. The only thing I would try to do is retrace. I would want something to retrace down here again, because we have this sweepable that was left open. This is the second sweepable. This is the first sweepable. First sweepable can have good plays, but usually it comes back to the, sorry, the second sweepable can have good plays, or the third sweepable can have good plays, but we usually come back to the very first one again. So yeah, so this trade would have won 2.5. You would have taken profit for sure. Now let's flip it to the other side. Let's go on the 5 minute and let's talk about the shorts. You have a CIZ to the downside here. So we have our breaker. Then we have our low, high, lower low, giving us our 5 minute sweepable. So let's zoom in on that area. We sweep that 5 minute sweepable here, and then we create our first breaker to the downside. This breaker is at 1439, meaning it's inside a macro. And then we confirm that at 1450. So again, inside a macro. This is the SMR window breaker, and then this is the macro window confirmation. So it's all inside a macro. It delivers to 2 standard deviations, 2.5, and no IFG. It does have a CB outside candle, but it wicked. So this is B plus, meaning it can go to 2 or it can go to 4. With the context and the crazy pump we had, for a bullet 1, I would just take it a 2, pretty much guaranteed, because it has a high likelihood of getting swept again and then going again, especially because you have this breaker still in play, right? Now, after that sweep, let's fast forward a little bit. We get a bullet 2 play, which is here, because if it didn't go to -4, it counts as a bullet 2 if it gets swept again. So it gets swept again, and so this counts as a bullet 2, and we have a high, low, higher high, lower low closing across from here, giving us our second breaker for the PM session. And so this breaker printed at 1523, and it confirmed at 1533. So this is inside of the SMR window of the last hour of the day, which is valid. And this one you can take to 4 standard deviations. The reason why is because this is the second bullet from the downside. Okay, again, that's like the last line of defense, saying, hey, if it goes above here, we likely won't be shorting. We likely will be going long. It also prints a valid fair value gap, which doesn't get retapped, but it's important to know that it did print it, because then that gives you higher probability that this thing will want to go all the way to at least 4 standard deviations on the 1 minute. So yeah, this was a winning trade, a really nice trade here, really nice trade here. Honestly, the PM was super clean, super clean. I wasn't here live, unfortunately. Like I said, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break tomorrow and Monday to be back on Tuesday. I'm just feeling really burnt out, and my performance shows that. Like, I lost 6 trades this week and only got 1 winner. So it's just, yeah, it's been bad. So it's not that I don't know what's going on. It's more so that I know what's going on and I'm still choosing the bad trades. I even talk about it on stream. I say, hey, this is what's going against the trade. And I talk about the most obvious things that I always say, don't take a trade if these things are the ones that are against your trade. And then I'm still taking them. So I'm just super out of tune, and I want to get back in tune with things. But yeah, this went to, of course, a 4.5. And we went all the way down to, you guessed it, the very first sweepable of the 5 minute. And that's where we paused. Now that pause doesn't mean we're going to reverse from there and then just go all the way back up again. But it's just something to be aware of. We pause here. Remember, this was bullet 1. It went to 2.5, and then dropped, and now it's here. So if it creates a breaker here to the upside, then that would be bullet 2. So if we go like this, it would be bullet 2, and then I would expect this long to actually deliver to 4 standard deviations or 4.5. which would line up with the huge breaker we've had taking us up here. We'll see what happens here in the when the market opens. It likely will just push down lower and then create something higher if it wants to do so. But yeah, that's the review for today. Thank you for watching. Give me some suggestions on the comments on how I can make it better. Tell me if you're liking the longer reviews with just a little bit more detail and explanation, or if you want me to go to a more simple style where I just say, this is where the valid trade is, this is where the valid trade is, and then you guys just kind of go and do it on your own afterwards. I'm a visual learner, so I like to figure things out on my own. Like, you tell me the setup is here, I'll go and look at it, and then, you know, that's how I personally learn, but not everybody's that way. So yeah, just give me some feedback. Thank you. Bye.